So far, we have seen so many things, okay, uh, related to the advanced Java. Okay, so today we'll go further uh, to the next configurations and the thing that we can do with the servlets. So uh, here is a quick recap about the previous sessions, that what we have already done in the previous session. Just look at here. We have already created servlets, okay, and we have seen that how to create the servlets by using servlet interface and the HTTP servlet class. We have already seen and discussed that what is the do get and do post method, and which in which scenario which method should we use. So this method we have already seen, that the do post method that we have already do post method and do get method we have already seen in the previous session. And how to get the data from the user request, we have already seen that by using the parameter that is the variable. We can understand in this way that this is a variable that holds the user's data, and after that it will send through the users or client request uh, into the request object. So to get those data we'll use the request object, and since these are your parameters into your request object, so we'll use name and password as parameter. And this is your action where you want to send your request. So this is the first servlet where we want to send our client want to send the request. The method could be your get or post. If you don't mention over here any method, then by default it is get. So we have already covered these things, and I have already assigned one task that perform the addition, multiplication, division, and means arithmetic operation to get the user's input into the in two numbers and perform these operations. So I hope you have already done these operations. If you have any problem, then you can put your query into the chat box. If you don't have, then no problem. Otherwise, I'll discuss that how to do using only one servlet. So I hope you have already done that assignment that I have given yesterday. Any problem to anyone? Good. So Hinduja and okay, Justin, fine. Good. So if you have done that operation, that that how to perform a different kind of operation by using more than one method uh, on your user page, then I can understand that this servlet working is now clear to everyone. So today I'll start the session by seeing that what is the configuration file. The configuration file means web.xml. Web.xml, in short, we say that a deployment descriptor. We have already seen in the very first session that is called DD. In short form, we say that is DD. This is called DD, and it also called deployment descriptor. Okay, and the file name is web.xml. You cannot change the file name, and it will be if you expand your project, you can find this file into the web inf folder. So you cannot put this file into any other location. We have already discussed about it. So web.xml, just I'm going to open it, and we'll see that what is the configuration into the web.xml file. So inside the web.xml, your all servlets configuration should be mentioned into it. Okay. So if you have created more than one servlet, 1, 2, 3, and any number of the servlet, then that servlet's entry must be inside your web.xml. So look at the web.xml. I'm going to open it. Okay. So just look at here. The root tag for this web.xml is web app, and here the configuration detail about that from which it will take the reference. Okay, so version is 2.5 of the web app we are using, and here you can find since we have created only one servlet till now, so here you can find a servlet tag where two sub tags into the servlet. Okay, one is your servlet name and second one is your servlet class. And with respect of your servlet, there is one more tag is available that is called servlet-mapping. So make sure and remember this point for one servlet. Okay, what I'm telling, just remember this point. One servlet, there are two tags into the web.xml file, two main tags. Okay, so one is your servlet and second one is your servlet mapping. So if you declare two servlets, if you define two servlet in your application, then there would be four tags, two for each. Okay, so what is servlet name and servlet class mapping into this web.xml? Just look at here. This sub tag is your servlet name, and with this servlet name we define that which class should be called, so look at here that what is the class name of your servlet. The servlet class name is first servlet. We can see here the name of the class is first servlet, and where it is in your project, the package name. So the package name for this servlet is com.lari. So the full name to get this class is com.lari.firstServlet. Okay. So in web.xml, you will define that the name of the servlet is first servlet and the class to correspond this name is com.lari.firstServlet. Okay. And the name of this servlet, you can write anything. It is not mandatory that you will write only the first servlet. So name is the user's choice. Okay, so what is the name you want to put for the servlet? So you can write any name for this servlet. So it is up to you that what is the naming convention you are following for your application. So for that you can change the name. Okay, so I'm going to change the name of this first servlet with any name. We can say that my servlet. Okay, we can write the name of servlet as my servlet, and which class it is pointing, we can write that it is pointing to the first servlet class. Okay, now after that we will map this servlet with the URL. With the URL means the user will interact with your application. Okay, so when the user will send any request, it requests through the URL. We know that. Okay, so what is the URL pattern you want to show to the user? Okay, so here in your servlet mapping, there are two subtags. One is your servlet name and second one is a URL pattern. So also you can change the name of your URL pattern as well as you can change the servlet name, but make sure the class is mapping with this servlet, and if you want to execute this class with this name, So you have to map this name with any URL pattern. So I will write the name as we have already put the name for this class. So my servlet. And the URL pattern, you can change the URL pattern according to your requirement. I can write the ABC, no problem at all. Okay. So what happened when the application runs? Okay. So when your application is on your server and any request comes from the client, first of all, your server looks that which URL has been requested. First of all, okay. So when your server see that the URL pattern is /abc, okay, so it will search that what is the name of the servlet which is mapped with this URL, and from here it will find that the name of the servlet is my servlet. After that, it will search that which class is mapped with this servlet name. So it will search your whole web.xml, and when it will find that, okay, my servlet is here. So now look at which class. So the server will find that the class is your first servlet. So this class will be called. This servlet will be invoked. So this is the way that your application and your servlet gets executed through the URL. So actually, whenever we send the request for the servlet, actually we don't call the servlet direct. We send the request by the URL. After that, it will mapped with the servlet name, and then it will go for the servlet class to which it is mapped with the class name. So as we can see that my servlet is mapped with com.larry.firstServlet, so it will execute. So look at here, just home.html that I have written. Actually, in the action, we are writing the first servlet. This is the URL pattern of your servlet, not the class name. Okay. So I was not discussed this URL pattern yesterday because we were learning that how to write the code and how to execute the code. So that's why I didn't mention that what is this. Okay. So actually in action, we don't write the class name. Remember this point. We write only the URL pattern. So now tell me that to execute this servlet, what is the URL pattern we have decided? So we decided that the URL pattern should be ABC. So in place of my servlet, I will write here the ABC. Got it? So when the user will send a request in submit, then it will send to this ABC. After that, when your request reach at the server, okay, then server will find that this is the URL, then it will go and find that the name of your servlet. So it will find the URL ABC, the name of the servlet which is mapped with this, it is my servlet, and what is the class that should be executed with this name. So the class that is mapped with my servlet is first servlet. So this servlet will get executed. So to understand this, let's execute this. So is it clear that how to mapping works in the background? Actually, when we write any servlet name over here, the action name, we understand that we are writing the class name. So actually, this is not a correct answer. Actually, we write the URL pattern of that servlet. We don't mention any servlet name. So you can write any. So, okay, one thing that is the root directory. That's why. So here, this one, that is number. So look at here, hello, Provis apps and null. Okay, let me check that why the second parameter is coming null. Age request.get parameter. Let me check what is the, okay. The name I have changed to the password, that's why. Okay, so I'll change the parameter name as password, so we'll get the correct answer. Come to this execution, progress apps, any value, submit, then you can see this. Okay, so as you can see, the value that we are sending, the servlet is getting the values from the user and processed it. But just look at here the URL. Now you can see the pattern is ABC. Okay, so remember this, we don't write here the servlet name, we write actually the URL pattern that is mapped with the class, that mapped with your servlet, and this is called internal alias of your class. Internal means the server know that what is um, the name of this class. So my servlet is the name of this class, and it is called external alias of this class. This is for the end user. So user will see that the URL pattern is ABC, but actually the class is getting executed, that is first servlet. So you can change the name of the servlet and the pattern, but make sure that you cannot change the class name. And mapping must be well formed. Well formed means the name should be mapped with the URL, and that name must be mapped with any servlet class. So according to your request and response, you will execute that class. But most of the time what happens when we use any IDE, so IDE do this mapping for us. We don't go for write the XML and the mapping in our application. Okay, but we should know that what is happening in the background. Why? Sometimes you will get error, but if you don't know that how to the mapping works, so you will not able to do the debugging in your application. So I hope this mapping is clear right now. Just tell me that any question. Action first servlet and action ABC works, right? No, if I write now my first servlet, then now it will not work. Look at here, because I have changed the action. Okay, if I write this one, just look at what will happen if we do this coding. Look at here. If we mention, then just look at here. That first online application, the URL is first servlet. Fine, Meng. So now the first servlet that is your URL pattern, it will search into your web.xml file. Just look at here. Okay. So in web.xml, is there any first servlet? The URL pattern? No, it will not find any first servlet as URL pattern. So it will show you that the resource that you want to find is not available on the server. Just look at the output here, that you can get output as 404. Okay, so I have changed the first servlet URL as ABC. The URL I have changed from first servlet to ABC. So I was telling that if you change the URL pattern, so actually you write here the URL pattern, not the servlet name and the class name. You write the URL pattern. Okay, so if the URL pattern is ABC, then you will write ABC. If the URL pattern is first servlet, then you will write the first servlet. So if we want that it should be first servlet, then what you will do? You will write into your web.xml the URL pattern is this. I hope this configuration is now clear. So just go and execute this part, then you will see that now your application will execute. Just reload this. Now you can see that first servlet is executing. Why? Because the first servlet is mapped. My first servlet is mapped with the my servlet, and my servlet is now called first servlet class. So what I'm saying, just remember this and understand this point, that whenever you write any action, you don't mention, actually you don't write this class name, actually you write the URL pattern. But what happened when we use the ID? Okay, ID will do the same thing for every element. Okay, means it will create the name of the servlet same as the class name. It will create the URL pattern same as the class name. So what we understand that actually we are writing the servlet name. Actually, this is not a right answer and the right thing. Actually, we write the URL pattern. So Justin and Hinduja and Meng, I hope this configuration is clear and the calling of the request through the URL is now clear. Clear? Now, yes, good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more servlet, okay, for you to get more clarity about the servlet's URL pattern and designing. I'm going to create one more servlet, okay, and I will click on it, that is com.larry, and I will create a Java servlet class. This servlet class name will be second servlet, okay. Package name and the application, just look at here, this part, okay. The class name is second servlet, and this wizard is doing something for us, that is the servlet name it creates with this with the same as the class name. So we can change this name, as we have already seen in the web.xml. We can change it, and the URL we can change. So if you want to change the name of the servlet and the URL pattern, you can do this, and this wizard do for us that is, it takes the servlet name and URL pattern same as the class name. So now I'm going to change it. The servlet name is X, and the URL pattern I'm going to write as Y. Just look at it, okay? X and Y. Now tell me, if I want to invoke, the second servlet, listen very carefully and tell me the answer. I want to invoke the servlet, second servlet. So what will be the request type here? What do I mean to say here is, one more time, we can call the servlet by the link also. So I'm going to create link href, okay. So what will be the URL that you will call? So definitely the URL pattern we have decided the Y, so we will write Y, not X, not your second servlet, okay. So when I click on it, then it will go to this URL, and this URL is mapped with your X, and X is mapped with your second servlet. Just go to the web.xml and look at here. This is your servlet, and this is your mapping, okay. So now the URL Y is mapped is with the X, and X is mapped with your second servlet. So whenever we want to execute this second servlet, we will call the URL Y, okay. Look at this. Let me check that. You can see here the Y pattern is called, and second servlet at first online application is called. These lines, this line is written on your second servlet because we are using NetBeans ID. So NetBeans ID provides some code. So by default, that code is getting executed. So I hope this mapping is now clear to everyone. Yes, give me the confirmation that it is clear. Good, good. So One more thing that you can do with, if you are using uh, Enterprise Edition 5 and the above, that is annotation. So annotation I will discuss later. Okay. First practice on this mapping, and after that we'll go for the annotation. And then I'll tell you that what is the difference between annotation and the web.xml file configuration. And come to again the request and response process. I'll delete this and close it. Oh. I will design a form for you to understand that which type of the control you will write on your page and how to get the values from the user. As we know that there are so many controls on the form. The input box, we can say, input type, we can say, the user can input his or her value. Okay, so user can input the value by typing something. Okay, so for that we use the input box text, input box like password, and the text area in which the user can type something. And there are so many controls on which the user can only perform the selection. Okay, selection means you have given the user that there are so many choices, you can choose any one of them. So for that we use the radio buttons. Okay, and you can also give the user uh, options that there are so many things in which you can select more than one option by using checkbox. Okay, if list is going increase to choose any one option among all available options, then you design a drop down list. Okay, so drop down list will show you all the list in which the user can select the data. And so in this case we can find that there are so many controls on the form. So how to get the value from those controls into your servlet? I'm going to explain this one, and just look at the code. So input type text, we have already seen that user can input the text over here. So let me see first the design of this. Okay, this is your text box, this is your password. So what I'm going to do is I will create a table, and okay, within a form we can design a table, no problem at all. So it will not. Then again tr1, tr2, td, and here I will write username. I will cut this code and paste into this. Tr, td, and td. Copy and paste. Here I will write the password. So user will input the password. Hmm. And password I will put into this as input type. So input type is password. Name is pwd. That's it. And one more tr I'll use, and then td. This Control X, Control V, and call span 2. So just look at the design, we'll see that what is okay. So this is the form username. User will input user, then password. So we can design our whole page that can be a registration form. Okay. So user can choose any value. That is, one is your gender, and here the gender could be only one at a time. So I will design it for there are two options you can design. That is, one is drop down and second one is your radio button. So according to your design, you can write anything. So I'm going to write that is input type radio. Okay, radio, and the value that is male. Okay, and another value that can be your control C, control V, radio, and then it can be your female. And here I will mention that is this, and here we can mention that male, and this one is your female. Now come to this part. So select your gender, that is according to your form filling. So this, you can see that at a time more than one can be select. So do this, what we'll do in our code to select only one and make it as a family and a group. So we'll write the name. Okay, and the name of this radio button is gender, and again we'll write the same name for this second radio button. So what happened in this case, both will be in one group, so you will select only one at a time. That's okay, one will be select at a time. Another one is your checkbox that you can use. Checkbox means if you want that user should select more than one option at a time, then you can use checkbox. So what I'm going to ask that user that uh, the courses, okay, the courses, or you can write the complete courses. So if user has complete more than one course, then he or she can select more than one value. For example, that is input type, input type checkbox. The value you will write here, that will send with the user. Okay, remember this point, except the password and the text box and the text area, user cannot enter any value by keyboard. So every value is selected by the user by using mouse. Okay, so the value you have to write initially, that which, if this checkbox is checked, then this value will be sent into the request. So here is I am writing that is C programming. Okay, so one is your C programming, and to show the user that you will select which one, so here is C program. Just look at here. So you can see that complete courses, that is your C programming. So if user has completed this, then user can select C program. So you can have more than one, you can ask the user for more than one course. So just copy and paste, Control C and Control V. That is, one is Java program. So the value must be changed according to your user data. And if you want that, this one, go to the break. And again, so I'll write only 3. And one is your Python. So it will send the data as Python. And as we know that if we send any request from client to the servlet, then that value must be encapsulated into the variable that is the name. So you have to mention the name of the variables. So here, name, we can write that choice. Control C. So I will write the same name for everyone, choice and choice. Okay, so just look at here. So you can see here the C programming, Java programming, Python program. So according to the user's interest, that user has completed the C programming, then it will choose the C program, Java program, Python program, and after that you will submit it. I'm going to change this method as get right now. So to show you something, so just come to this URL and enter your name. So name is, for example, Daneyal. Then the password I want 123. Okay, choose the gender, that is this one. So I have completed the C programming. Then it will just look at here that what is going into the URL, what is going into the request actually. So just look at here. First servlet, the name is going as Daneyal. PWD, the name of the password field is as 123. The gender is going as male. The choice is now blank, and the submit. Okay, get method is not supported, so just let it be because we have designed the post method. That's why we are getting that error. So this Control X, that's the submit button name actually. That's why. Again, I will write something and then put choice is name checkbox. Choice is not going to. Let me check that. One is C programming. Okay, fine. Then Java programming, fine. Then Python programming is fine. If I select only one, then what happened? It is okay. So maybe in the previous request. Mail this one. Just look at here. So the name is Provis Apps. Password is 123. Gender is male. Choice is C programming and choice is Java programming, since I have selected more than one option. Okay. So these are the value that will go into your request. So if you change this request into the post, so it will go in the background. So we can see that what are the values is going in your request to change the method as get. And we can get these values onto the servlet by getting this name. Okay. Now the question is, since the choice can be uh, more than one at a time. The user can choose any value at a time, one value and more than one value. So how will you get this value? Because if we write request.get parameter choice, okay. So look at here. Change this method, or better is to override another method, that is do get. We can write more than one method. Do get. Okay. Copy and paste the same code here. And copy, paste. I'll change the variable name according to requirement. So request dot set content type. Okay, fine. Request parent writer objects. Request dot get parameter name. Request dot get parameter pwd. And a string gender is equal request dot get parameter, and the parameter name is gender, and a string choice of the user is equal request dot get parameter and choice. So we have 4 fields in the form. Look at here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are getting the values by using the parameters. Delete this system.out.println, and here print the values according. Name plus name, that is n. And then copy and paste. Copy, paste. I'll use the br. If you use print and println, it won't reflect on your output on your. It won't be any change in your the output on your browser. Br will go into the next line because println will go into the next line on your console. So br password, and password I have is stored into the variable name pwd. This one. Gender, choice. Okay. So now come to the execution and submit. So you can see name is Provis apps, password that is 3, as you can see into this URL also. Mail and choice, you are getting only C programming, but you are not able to get the Java program. Okay. So what you can do in this case, that this choice should also be get into your code. So you can do this in 2 ways. Just look at here. First is change the name of every choice. Okay, so this is your choice, so you can change it to the choice 1, and this can be choice 2. Can we do this? Means we can change the name, and according to we can write the choice 1, choice 2, and choice 3, isn't it? Okay. And suppose you have a list and you are creating a form for a bank, that the bank asks, if you go for the loan, then bank asks that what are the assets you have. If you are not able to pay the loan back to the bank, then we can retrieve from your assets. So it will, the form will have a list of assets, and that list is for the minimum for the 50 things. So what you will do, you will write the code. If you are a developer and you are writing the code, then you will change the name of every choice box, checkbox, that choice 1, choice 2, choice 3, choice 4, and so on to the choice 50, isn't it? And if after some time bank says that no, I want to add two more assets in my form. So what you will do? You will come to the code and then you will add two more checkboxes over here, and after that you will go into the servlet and you will add two more request parameter, isn't it? Okay, so to come up from this situation and to do this, what we do, uh, if you have more than one option, okay, if you have more than one option, just look at it, and if it is combinedly says that this is belongs to one choice in which you can choose more than one option, so in this case we prefer not to write the name different for every checkbox. What do we prefer? We prefer to write the same name for every checkbox. Okay. And as you can see, that more than one choice is going into your request. You can see here. So in this case, what happened into the background? One array will be create. One array will be create, which have these values, and the array type will be a string. Okay, the array type will be a string. So it means we can get the array, okay, we can get the array by calling choice method. And automatic, if you have more than one value, then it will be on different index. The value will be on different index. So it will be at index number 0, this will be at index number 1. Got it? So to do this, in place of writing the get parameter, in place of writing the get parameter, what we write, get parameter values. Just look at here, get parameter values and the name of the parameter. And since we know that the name of the parameter is choice, so you will write choice. Now it returns the string array. So look at here, and it will return the choice parameter. So if you send, if user send one value, then it will be at choice 0. If user sends more than one value, then it will automatically create the array with the indexes 0 and 1. If it sends 3 value, then it will be at 0, 1, and 2. Okay. So what we can do is we can write like this, choice 0. Okay. So come to execution, that you can see the choice is C programming is coming, that is the index number 0. What if we want to get the choice number 1? So we can write that choice 1. Just look at here. So we can get the Java program. And if you want to get all the values, so you can do this like this. For a string I colon choice, we can iterate this, that is choice. So every time it will go and iterate your value and it will come to the next iteration. And now you can get all the values. Just look at here. So name is Provis Apps. Password, okay, it has been reset. So male is your gender. Then choice is C program and Java program. If you go and select 3 values, then just look at here that all the choice values are coming into your request. So you can get the values by using the get parameter values. So in which situation we should go for the get parameter values? Understand this. If we have more than one choice in which we can choose more than one option, okay, but we don't know that you that how many options can the user can choose. So in that case, we should go for the get parameter values. Okay, then you can get all the values by using this parameter. Just look at here, get parameter values, and all the parameter values name is choice. Fine. Now come here one more time. This is not mandatory that user will select the value in the order in which you have mentioned in your form. Suppose user don't know the Java programming. So what it will select? It will select the C programming and the Python programming. In this case, this will be at index number 0 and this will be at index number 1. Just look at it. Fine. So this is the way that you can get more than one value into the same variable. What if user doesn't choose any value? Execute. So gender is male, but it is not executing because we are getting the zeroth size of array as 0. So it will not execute that you have any choice in your code. So this is the way that you can get it. Okay, just tell me that this point is clear, that how to send the value from the user's request with the different control of the form. So the thing is, the value for this radio you have to mention earlier. For the checkbox, you have to mention the values earlier because user cannot type. The value that you can leave for the user, that is your text box. It depends upon you. By default, you can show some value to the user by using value attribute. Password, user can enter. Another thing is the text area. I'm not going to discuss that text area in your in this example. If you create the text area, you can write the name and you can get the value. One more aspect, sorry, one more control I want to discuss, that is called drop down. So come here and just look at here, trdd, and call span is 2. I'm not going to create any other element. Select is your one new input type that user can select the value. And here in select, you can have more than one options. Okay. So user will see the options. Copy, paste, paste. So I'll give only 4 options. Here, whatever you write between the option tag, it will be visible to the user. Okay, it will be visible to the user. So I said that select any value. So I can write like that. Select country. Okay, select the country. and here the country's name. So like this, and okay, I can write the short form USA, and another one is the China. Okay, fine. So these are the value that will be visible to the user. Look at here. Okay, this is so drop down. So these are the values that is visible to the user. So if users select this one, so user can select any value from here. Let's look at it. And when the user will submit it, then you can see here uh, the selected value is not going into your request. Just look at here. One more time. I'm not selecting the gender. I'm not selecting any checkbox. I'm selecting only the drop down. But still, no value is going into your request. So to send a value into the request, there is a name attribute that you will mention into the select, not into the option. Okay, this is the part of the select. So you will write the name of the select. So I will write that the country. So now look at here. If I select any value, then you can see that the country is carrying the value as India. Understand? So this name is important for the select, that the name is carrying your value, and whatever the value you will select, it will send to into your request. One more thing, this is the value that is visible to the user. Clear? This is the value that is visible to the user. So if you don't mention any value attribute over here, okay, one attribute for the option is called the value. So what happened in this case, the value that is visible to the user is now the value is now also a value that will be sent into the user request. So you don't need to mention the value into the option. Okay, but suppose you select something and you want to send uh, something else with respect to that selection, for example, uh, you have a form in which you are asking that what is the ISD code for for your country. So sometime what happened, user don't remember the ISD code of countries. So you can, but user know the country name. Okay, so if you say that they enter the ISD number, okay, so user will not able to do that sometime. Otherwise, user have to search the code. Okay, so you can show the user the country name, and with respect to that, you can send the country code. For example, that is +91 is for India, USA that is +1, and for China, what is the China? Just look at here. I still don't know that what is the country code for the China. Okay, so with this, what I can do is, if this situation comes, then this is the +91. Just look at here. Value is that is +1. Okay, so come to this one more time. I'm not writing for the China. India if I select, then you can see that the +91 is going in your request. Now it is not going India. If I select the USA, then you can see that is the +1 is going. +2 mod sign 2b is your replacement for this one. And if I select the China, then you can see that in the request, the China is going on. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to show something to the user, but you don't want to send the same value as in the request, then you can change the value by value attribute. But if you want that, if user select the value, it should go into your request, then it is not required to mention the value attribute. Got it? Yes, tell me. Fine. And another thing is one more you can see here. This, if I don't select, I'm going to write something. And if I select this one, just look at the output. If I write the name, then it comes with your request, that is SDA and something, and there is some value. And gender is null. Now you want that user should input the name, then the form should be submit. So what you can do, just look at here. You can write an attribute that is called required. Just look at here. So if I submit, then it asks that please fill out this field because it is required, it is mandatory. So until you don't mention any value, then your form will not submit. Just look at it. Now your form is going to be submit. So one more attribute for this input type is called required. Required means mandatory. It is mandatory to fill by the user. The password, if you want to make as the required, then you can write the required attribute. That user must enter. Just look at here. Please fill up. Now look at here. Please fill up. And if you want that the gender must be selected, then you can write it is also as a required field. So I hope this these attributes you have already used in your HTML. But since it is advanced Java, so this is only the quick revision to understand that how to design your forms and how to send the data. Now tell me if you have any doubts till now, and if you have any query related to these uh, request and response. Yes. No. Okay, fine. Now we'll move to one step further. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to interact with the database with our servlet. Okay. So the task is to take the user's data, okay, and register that user, and show the message that if that user get registered successfully, then show the message as um, you have been registered successfully, or if the user is not registered with your application, then show the message as your registration failed, please try again after some time. Got it, the scenario? what I'm going to do. Okay. So for that, definitely we need to write the JDBC code. And here is, I will use this wizard to create the database. I can use the previous one also. I'm not going to use the command prompt. So this is the database. Just look at here that we have created in our application previously when we were discussing the core Java and JDBC. So this is the database. So I'll use the same database, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit my table and make the login ID as primary key, password and the user type over here, and few more details I want, that the gender, okay, and the country name, okay, the country name. One thing, that is the country name. And here we can define the size and the type, apply changes, and execute this query. Okay, and look at here that what are the information that is available in my table. So this is the table in which we have already some data. Now we are going to insert the value into this database by our application, that is web application. So how to do that? Very simple. Since I have already created our form, so I'll use the same one. Okay, so I'll delete this, that is the programming. I don't want to insert this value since I don't have the column for this, so I'm going to delete, and user will enter the country according. So in database we have 4 column: name, password, gender, and the country, and one more is the user type. So user type will not enter by the user, we will select some default value, and this is the get. So we can write the code into do get. This one, just tell me that when you will send the request from here, okay, this is your page. When you will send the request from here, so user will enter the name, user will enter the password, gender, and the country. After submission, this will go to your servlet, in which the do get method will execute. And since we have already collected all the values from the user, just look at here, name we have already collected, password we have, gender we don't have the country, so get the country name also. So we can get the country into one variable, that is country. Request dot get parameter, since the parameter name is the country, so I'll use the country n. So just look at the name of the parameter on the page also. So the name of the parameter is this one. So we have all the value. Now we want to insert these values into database. So definitely we will write the JDBC code, and to write the JDBC code we write into the try catch if any exception, if any exception is occurred, then it will show you the exception. And for that, what we do, we write the code for loading the class by class dot for name com dot mysql dot jdbc dot driver, this one. After that we get the connection object, the same code that you have learned in your core Java. Sorry, just write all the thing that you have already learned. Connection con is equal driver manager dot get connection. The URL is JDBC colon mysql colon / local host. Since we have our database on the local host, so I am providing the local host colon 3306 / the database name is what is the name of the database? That is the new DB. So I'll mention new DB. The username is root and the password is in a string password. Okay, this one. After that, we need to perform the insertion. For that, we have so many options. So I'll use the prepared statement. PST is equal con dot prepare statement and the query insert into login master, that is your table name, values, and how many values I want to pass? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just count it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 is extra. And we have already learned that these are your placeholder. So according to the values we will pass, to replace this placeholder, we will pass our values. So PST dot set string parameter index number 1 for name, PST dot set string parameter number 2 for password. Okay, PST dot set string parameter number 3. So what is the parameter number 3? Just look at here. Which type of the value we want? The user type. Okay, so user type is the parameter number 3 in my query. So I can write here is a simple user, and PST dot set string index number 4. I want that what is the gender of that, so I can write the gender. PST dot set string parameter number 5, that is your country. And after that we get integer is status is equal PST dot, since the query is type of update other than selection, we call execute update. And now this, if the status is greater than 0, it means user has been registered successfully. So we'll show the message out dot println. Okay, you are registered successfully, or you can greet also congratulations and all the things. So according to your requirement you can do this. Else if it is not happening, then out dot println. Okay, you can write something went wrong, the registration failed, please try again. We can write this one. And if any exception comes, so this exception should not be visible to the user. So what we can do is we can write that system.out.println and we can go and check into our log file, okay, on the console. Or if you want to show something to the user, you can write out.println Okay, and again the same message you can type that if the exception occur, then this will happen again. Okay, so this is the code which will perform the insertion, and we'll see the message accordingly. If it is fine, then your registration will be done. Otherwise, we'll get exception or we'll get anything else. So now I'm going to execute this one. Look at here. So the username I'm going to choose as the Provis apps. Password is 123, is mail, and the country is India, and submit. Okay. So just look at here, message is coming to the user that something went wrong, registration failed, please try again. This is the message. Now come to this and look at here. This is actually the exception is occur that com.mysql.jdbc.driver is not getting load. So we have already seen this exception in core Java JDBC session, that if you do not set the path of your driver class path, if you do not set the class path of the driver of JDBC com.mysql.jdbc.driver, then you will get this type of exception. So how will you remove in the application which you are developing on IDE? Since that application we were developing on the console by using the console, so that's why we were setting the class path on the console. But now we are working on the IDE, so you need to set the class path over here. And since this code will run, remember, this code will run on the server, so you need to put that file, that driver onto the server. So how to do that? Just look at here. Go to the project, right click and select the libraries. Okay, library, and after that select add library. And from here select MySQL JDBC driver. Add. Now it is added in your application. Saving, deploying. Now user will send a request. Okay, one more time, just again I'm getting the error. Okay, this happened sometime. Project, libraries, this is delete. Remove this one. Add jar folder and file. I will not use the inbuilt. I have the driver external in my system, so I'll use this one. Okay, and now reload this one, and now you can see you are registered successfully. This is the message that we can see here. Just look at the database that the user get registered or not. So I'll execute this query one more time to see that the user get registered or not. So here is the user, that is Provis apps. 123 is the password. User type was user. Gender is male and the country India. Okay. So this is the way. As you can see here, there is no difference between the JDBC you were using on the core or you are using on the web. The whole thing is you will write the Java code. And we have already learned about the JDBC. And you can see that the same code I'm using in my web application also. The thing get changes, the value is coming from the user by the request. And on core Java, we are getting the user's input by using the scanner class. That's it. Okay. So this is the thing. Again, I'm going to show you one more thing. Just look at here. If I reload this, then this request one more time go to the server. when I will reload this one. So this URL will reload, then your request will go on to this server on the same servlet, and it will carry the same username, password, and all the information. So just reload this. Then you can see that something went wrong, registration failed, please try again. So what is why this is happening? Just look at here the output, and you can see that one exception occurred that says com.mysql JDBC exceptions, JDBC driver 4, MySQL integrity constraints violation exception. Duplicate entry for the provis apps for the primary key. As we know that we can have only one primary key in our database. Okay, one value for the primary key column. So that must be unique. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to insert one more time provis apps. So definitely it will not insert the value provis apps. So it will throw an exception that this value is already available. You cannot insert duplicate value. So that's why this throws this one, an exception, and this will go into this catch block. So if you want to show to the user a message that this ID is already available, so you can do this by writing this exception name. Okay, look at here, by writing this exception name, that if this type of exception comes into this code, it means it is integrity constraints violation exception, and it will come due to the primary key insertion more than one time. So you can show the message accordingly. What I'm going to do is here I can write username already taken or already registered. So accordingly you can show the message. So you can see, oops, the username already taken, choose another username or anything else. So according to your exception and anything, you can design your code. Now tell me, is it clear that how to do this? Insert the value into the database by using JDBC. Any query, any question related to this part? Okay, fine. So do practice and perform this operation by insertion. And definitely one more thing is coming into your mind, that this message should come at this place, then it will look nice. Okay, so this is the HTML page, so you cannot show the message on this page because it is static. So wait for one more session, then I will explain that how to show the message on the same page and dynamic content. So that's all for today. We have learned the configuration. We have learned that how to get the values from the request, that that can be of different type of controls on the form. And we have already discussed that how to insert the value to the database, or you can say how to register a user into the application. And you can change the method post also. So you need to write the code into do post. Fine. So since Justin and Hinduja, do you have any query? So do the practice, and I'll try to upload this video very soon. I'll try to upload within 1 and 2 hours, and after that you will get the link. Just subscribe that channel, then you will get the link. I hope you are getting the notification. So uh, after that, you can, if you get any problem, if you have any issues related to any code, then you can take the reference from the videos, or you can put your query on the WhatsApp also. Okay, so thank you for joining this session. Bye bye. You're welcome, Justin.